Hi, everybody. Welcome to When Calls the Hallmark Case. And this is the show where we are talking about When Calls the Heart. And we're talking about the latest two episodes, season 12, episodes 4 and 5. And we are dancing. Like, this is like Footloose meets When Calls the Heart in these episodes. So it's a lot of fun. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner. Mary's here.
Hello.
And Caroline's here.
Hey,
Yeah. How are you all doing?
pretty
Good.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think these are pretty. I mean, for basic kind of middle season filler type episodes, these were pretty good. I would
hmm
say pretty
Yeah.
fun.
Some fun
Yeah.
stuff happened. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, let's dive in. Let's talk about it. So the first episode that we're talking about is called Dancing Teens. And this is Elizabeth helps Allie plan a birthday dance. Nathan struggles with Allie growing up. Rosemary and Bill team up to investigate a train robbery, and Lucas lends Edie a hand. So, Caroline, what did you overall think about this episode?
I thought it was really fun, like especially concentrating on like the team, like of Hope Valley. I thought that was really cute, and
Yeah.
seeing Allie, of course, celebrate her birthday, and I love seeing everyone pitching in to help it,
Mm-hmm.
for her. It was cute.
Yeah. What do you think of it, Mary?
Yeah, same. Lots of fun things happened in this episode, and you see that town camaraderie kind of, with everybody looking at how they can help Allie, and the stuff with Lucas and Edie was hilarious.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
love that. So yeah, it was a good one.
I mean, it really did feel like One Calls the Heart meets Footloose
hmm
Oh yes.
in this thing.
When I saw the promo, I'm like, oh, there we go, Footloose.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. I mean, especially Molly. She was really funny in this.
Oh, she was
But she had a
horrified.
sweet reason. That
That's
was
true.
sweet.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, we'll talk more about it's interesting what they kind of do with her character in these episodes. But it starts out with Bill, he's trying to be like the moderator in between Lucas and Lee. He's trying to get them to resolve this. And I mean, are you more sympathetic to one than the other? What do you think, Mary, to their
Uh,
position?
I think they were trying to help us see both sides. By by the next episode, I was like, Lee, you
Yeah,
let's relax a little bit.
agree.
And this one, I'm like, I can see that he's hurt still. And then but so I don't know. I felt like men I know don't pout and sulk like this, but maybe I'm wrong. So
Uh,
I don't know.
Caroline, what do you think? Which side are you on?
I think maybe I'm more on like Lucas's side, but I understand where Lee's coming from. But like I'm like Lee, like he's the governor. Like there's only so much he can do. Like it's not like he's the mayor of Hope Valley. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Well, and
bless his heart,
I'm
he's
like
trying.
I'm pretty solidly on Lucas's side here because it doesn't make sense to me why Lee isn't at least empathetic towards the needs of these ranchers, or at least an understanding of like, okay, I understand why you have to take this into consideration. Like, he's a businessman, he's got to understand that. I mean, in any other Hallmark situation, like the big bad people taking out the rancher's land, and especially that this is special to Edie's family, like that they would be the bad guys, here. Lee would be the bad guy in any other Hallmark situation in the and yet it it seems kind of like that I can understand wanting to have the national park, especially if it's named after your daughter, but like not even being kind of empathetic to the needs of the ranchers is just
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't make sense because obviously as governor, he would have to deal with that. Like, and as a businessman, you think Lee would understand that, like, of yes, he at least has to deal with it.
Yeah. Like it's out of his hands now. And
Yeah.
it's such an interesting story arc that we ended, the last season, like this is gonna happen and we're looking forward to it. And then it was like, Never
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
it's still like a national park, but it's like the cows, like the cattle, is still like they're just a part of the
Grazing in
land.
it. And that's,
Like Goldie's still going to have a place to go. Like it is
yeah.
still going to be her father's land that he
That's true.
donated to the town or whatever. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goldie
Yeah.
knows, I would
Yeah.
know when she's older.
Yeah, and Lucas didn't break any promises like this. I guess, if Lee's feeling like you're just a regular politician who promises and then breaks it. This, I think, was different than that. And plus, you're right, Rachel. He has to look at this big picture. And I kind of like that when I look at like issues in the Intermountain West in terms of ranchers who would like to use land. And if it's just
Yeah.
not available, it can be a really hard trial.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not like he knew about it before he
Hmm.
said, "Oh, Lee, we're going to name it after let's do it."
Hmm.
Like he found out afterwards, so it's like
Yeah.
Well, and
it's
I don't
hard.
even think it would be legal. Like, even the government, like, without some kind of compensation, you can't just take people's property, you know? I mean, unless it's just different up there in Canada. I don't know.
That's true.
But
United States of Canada.
United States of Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so Allie's having a dance party, and they're excited about the new dances, and they say the Charleston and the shimmy. The shimmy is just a dance move. It's not
Hmm.
a dance. As far as I could in my research, the Charleston, of course, is a dance. Both of them did start up around this time. So that was accurate. And it was fun to see Elizabeth learning how to do it, the other characters. I'm like the absolute worst at any kind of like pattern dancing, formal dancing, like absolutely terrible.
I
uh,
uh I took some ballroom dance classes at BYU, a
yeah,
amount of them, and that piece of paper she had with the footprints and the steps and arrows took me back a little bit. I was like,
yeah.
oh, you had
I
to
know. Of course,
like,
I have to like have gone to a school and live in a place where dancing is like a huge thing, like a big deal. Because of my dyslexia, it's so hard to
turn left, wait, right, wait.
yeah, it's
No, this,
almost
yeah,
almost impossible to
yeah.
to to get that kind of like I can like dance if it's not choreographed, but choreograph,
You're like
forget
you're like
I
Hitch. You just live in this space. I'm right here
yeah,
where I live.
that's right.
I took I took dance class until I was 13.
Oh,
So I never did the Charleston, but like
Uh,
it would take me a couple of tries to finally get the foot pattern
uh-huh.
down, but I think it would be fun. They looked
Yeah.
like they were having the time of their lives, so
I
like
know. They really
so
did.
fun. Hmm.
Where you were at, Caroline, did they have a lot of dances, or was it just the
Yeah,
main like because they have so many here in Utah for
we've had
like where I grew up, it was basically we had homecoming and we had prom and we had winter formal.
yeah, that's like
And
us.
yeah, like I swear, Utah, they have like one a month. I was like,
Yeah.
what? Another
Just
one?
just last night our doorbell rang at like 10 something with giggly girls like, at a group to say answer yes to my son
Uh,
for sweethearts and
Oh,
asked with a big poster and yeah, so it's a regular
yeah.
occurrence.
Yeah, I mean the asking, the promposals and
Oh,
stuff.
it's
It's like a
see, we
whole
didn't have
event.
prom that was like right before like the whole big things were like when I was in college. Like that's when it started happening, like in high school. I'm like, all that stuff for just to ask? Like, hold.
It's a lot of work. I mean, I just prefer the simple. Like I
Mm-hmm.
my junior homecoming, I had this friend who I wanted to ask, and I knew that he wouldn't ask me because he was just too shy. And but we were pretty good friends, and I we I, we had aquatics together, and then after it, we're walking to class, our next class, and I was just like, "Hey, what are you doing around the homecoming?"
Oh,
what are you doing? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, well, do you want to go? And he's like, I'll check my calendar. And then I didn't hear back from him for like a week or whatever. And so I'm, nervous and what's going on. So then I finally am like, so did you check your calendar? He's like, oh yeah, I could go.
Check your calendar.
Yeah.
He's like, he's executive. Let me check with my assistant on my,
Yeah.
just say, maybe he needs,
Yeah.
Boys.
So that was exciting. That was my first like real date of like, like a real kind of exciting was my friend Jim to homecoming. My mom made my dress.
Oh,
very exciting.
I went with a bunch of my friends junior prom, and then I went like senior prom. But it was just, I like going with the girls better than like it was just fun. We all took pictures and everything.
Yeah. I'd done stuff like that before, but like that was my first like real one-on-one date, was that.
Yeah. Good for you for being brave. This will come up in episode 5, that bravery of a teenage girl to go up to a boy.
Yeah. Oh, I know, for Allie.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
But we have Rosemary and Bill. They're investigating the Great Rocky Mountain train robbery. And the Garrison gang is written all over it. I just love them together. It's really fun.
Mm-hmm. They're really good together. We didn't get as much investigation in this episode, but any of it I love when they're love that.
Yeah, because they're just so opposite, and Bill and Rosemary, and this is so fun. Like his little facial expressions when she was telling Nathan about her recount of the whole Garrison gang stuff, and like he was like correcting her and stuff, and his facial expression was just so funny.
Yeah. Well, so then we have Angela. She is like, I don't want to go to the dance. I'm nervous about it. And I thought this was actually a pretty good plot line because Joseph's initial response is to be like, oh no, you're exactly the same as the other kids. You shouldn't feel different. You shouldn't. And I loved Henry's answer when he was talking to him about this. And he says that she feels different because she is different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so true, that sometimes that we want to make people feel better. We want to, and when sometimes we need to be like a little more truthful and acknowledge the trauma or the challenges that they're experiencing, like just kind of like wiping it away to make them feel better actually makes it feel worse.
Mm-hmm. More isolated.
Yeah. I thought that was a good moment.
That was such an interesting balance where they really have raised her to be independent, to be confident, and all these things. Like you're like everybody else, but then she's actually trying to point out that, Dad, in this case, this is hard for me.
Yeah.
When she said she doesn't know how she looked, I'm like, oh, that broke my heart. And she Deanna played that so well, and Viv.
Yeah.
Like, I love their scenes together.
Me too.
She says, I feel like nobody knows what it feels like to be me, to be blind. And so, yeah, I think was you could completely understand like
And
why,
then
she would be really wanting to go to this school for the blind.
Yes.
Elizabeth giving her the book. That was sweet.
Yes.
Yeah, that was nice.
It was about Helen Keller. That was this episode.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
In Braille for her to read. That was
Mhm.
great.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I did think it was funny that it was Lee who spoils the dance
Mhm.
party.
Let it slip.
Yeah, to Nathan.
Birthday dance party. Like, what's that?
What? And then yeah, everybody's starting to dance. Elizabeth's learning. May and Rosemary, of course, Rosemary picks it up real quick.
Of course she does.
But
It's Rosemary.
that was fun. And then you've seen this interaction between Edie and Lucas, which I think is fun. Definitely
Mrs. Martell, Miss Martell.
Yeah.
It's the title is important as far as
Yeah.
what he thinks he knows about her.
Well, and she says at first that she's engaged.
Yes,
And you
I
can
heard
see
that
he's a
too.
little like, what?
Yes. Yes.
And their interactions, I think they have like a decent chemistry.
Yeah, there's
Mhm.
a little bit of a spark there, tension maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the tension. Like,
Mhm.
I like that.
Mhm.
Because like they're butt heads at one moment and then they're like all googly the next moment. Which
Yeah. Yeah.
especially at the end of that scene with them in the with the calf.
Oh my goodness,
She was like,
dying because by the end, like she's all prickly against him first, but by the end, and when she watches him
pick
corral the
the
calf
calf.
and pick
Mhm.
it up, my husband is like, "Oh, she likey."
Well, I feel like we're ready for Lucas to have a new partner, don't you think?
Mhm.
Yes.
You
Yes.
I
'cause-
agree.
yeah. And I think that will help Nathan and Elizabeth's relationship also, so there's not this sense of like, oh, we got to be careful because he would
Mhm.
have or Lucas would have another plot line and
Mhm.
another relationship.
Mhm.
Plus it's right now he's like all kind of Mr. Business, and let's have like a more personal plot line as well for Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know?
he's very focused, very my career, my political opponents, my all these things. And if this gal comes in and kind of shakes that up for him, it'd be fun to see.
Mhm.
Yeah. I loved Bill and Rosemary, particularly when they were talking to Molly. It was like, what about the hazelnuts? They were funny. And if I had a gold coin, I wouldn't be spending it on nuts.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
They're like good cop, bad cop, or both bad cop when they just like pin her down,
Yeah.
She's trying to be so serious, Rosemary.
Yeah.
And it's just so over the top in the best possible way.
Uh-huh.
And it's just so good.
Yeah, that made me laugh. And she's like, I don't know.
She's like,
It's
what's
just
going
my
on?
nuts. And so Molly gets upset about the dance and says, "Oh, we need to cancel the dance." And it was interesting with Molly these episodes because they obviously are wanting to plan a plot coming up for Bill. So I feel like that's particularly why they made some of the decisions they did with Molly to kind of move her away from any kind of romantic interest with Bill.
Yeah.
Is what they're doing, because obviously with oh my gosh, my brain. Obviously with Melissa Gilbert coming in, that's going to be a plot line with Bill. So they've got to do something to have to deal with Molly, I think, in these two episodes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we were messaging about it. We were like, wait,
like, what?
Who's Jed again?
Yeah.
Where did he come from? And all of a sudden he's here next to Molly a lot. And I've forgotten about him. And the Facebook post from When Calls the Heart's page was like, remember what Jed said back in season? And I was like, oh, and Caroline, you were like, remember, he's been around for a while and he's Laura's dad. I'm like, oh, yes.
Yeah, so I
always in the
guess
background.
I guess he's been around. Do you know if it's been the same actor, Caroline?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's been the same actor.
Sounds like I'm obsessed. I'm like, I know.
No, you just have a good no. You have a good memory. And it jogged mine. And I was like, oh, that's right. Because so many characters come and go, but he's been around.
Yeah,
well, I mean, you are pretty into it, so that's good. We need it for the
season
podcast.
3, he was around a lot with little Laura, and then he kind of disappeared, but like in the background, and then he came back for something else I can't remember, and then this year's like, bam, he's front and center.
Well, and I forgot to write down see if it's in the IMDb, but that actor, he's very very dreamy. I'm like, okay, I get it. He was very good. But yeah, I was just like, who is Jed? And I guess the thing is that they were acting like it was that this was a regular character that we should all just like recognize. Like, oh, look, Jed. And I was like, what? Who is Jed? I don't know. The way they did it was funny, I thought.
Brian and Lindsay were doing like a post 11 podcast interview, and they were already writing season 12 at the time, and Lindsay's like, I can't wait for y'all to see Jed's storyline. I'm like, Jed? Like, what? Like, you're most excited about Jed? Like,
Daniel Smith Arnold is his name, the actor's name, Daniel Smith Arnold. And now let's see here. Yeah, look at that.
I saw someone was like, could Jed and Molly get married before Elizabeth and Nathan?
So this actor has been in 17 episodes of One Calls the Heart. So it sounds like he was pretty early on as Jed. So I think he's just been Jed. And yeah, it is funny when they do that on the show, when they're just like, there's this person or this character that all of a sudden is like bumped up.
I know. Just give us a tiny reminder in like a line or a throw, some sort of like, in their conversation. So we're like, oh yeah,
because they
or
did
like
that
have Elizabeth
talk
to him about Laura. I'm like, oh
yeah. We did this with Jed. We did this with Wyatt.
Yes,
this season as well.
Yeah,
that's like all of a sudden they get the that was a different actor though, at least I guess. So
he's older.
Yeah. But
ready for Wyatt to leave.
Yeah.
Go away, Wyatt.
And I was like, who is Jed? What is going on? Why was it like Jed and Molly? I said, why was it like Jed and Molly are two all of a sudden? Like, who is but it turns out Jed runs the nut stand, evidently. I guess. And let's see here, what else? So then Lucas, there's this whole scene with Lucas and Edie with this calf. And Lucas is like lassoing the calf. He's like Mr. Cowboy all of a sudden.
Oh, this was just
here for it. Yeah,
the whole thing. It's just so great. Did I see somewhere else online on social media where he admitted that maybe during this scene his pants ripped or something?
Yeah. During the Facebook Live and I think that poor Chris, that's happened to him before, I think he was saying.
Yeah.
But like he should play a cowboy at a Hallmark movie. Chris, like if your agents like find something for this man.
Yeah.
I know.
Cowboy Chris.
Yeah. I mean, he is good. I could see him in that kind of role. A lot of times he does play more sort of buttoned up types, but
he was a cowboy in that movie. What was the Christmas movie? Way back when?
You mean Rocky Mountain Christmas?
Yeah, wasn't he a cowboyish
brother? I can't remember if he got. Well, yeah. I mean, I think there must. Yeah, he was. I can't remember if he's on a horse or gets to do any cowboy stuff in that movie. He's her brother, and Palaha is there to learn to be a cowboy. So I think so. But yeah, it would be fun to see him get to not be so buttoned up.
When his hair fell down.
Yeah.
Like Aaron and Pascal on Twitter, they're like, Hardee's, you're welcome. Or like it was.
That's when Edie was like, oh, he loosens up. He's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and
And
that was nice too because we get a pretty dreamy scene section for Lucas in this episode. And then of course we'll talk about Nathan and what's the name of it? The card player, there's Douglas, whatever. Or,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So we get
Danny something.
Danny.
Danny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why we watch the show for that kind of
They
scene. So
they
it's
understood the
fun.
assignment.
They
Hump
understood the
of Hope
assignment.
Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Calendar.
Yeah.
Uh, so we have a very sweet scene where Allie her curls are not working out,
Yeah.
and it would be a lot harder back then because you obviously you can't just like plug in a curling iron. So
There's different ways to do it. You either have to put it up at night and sleep in it, or you have to heat up this was 40 years earlier, maybe 20 years earlier. Laura Ingalls Wilder had her slate pencil that she heated
Oh
on
yeah.
the stove
Mhm.
and then held a corner of it and curled around it.
yeah, I mean, and of course there's in Little Women
Oh, yeah.
when Joe burnt.
Oh,
Yes.
she got a whole chunk of Meg's
Yeah,
hair.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to be careful.
Yeah, and then Amy tries to cover it with a bow.
Yeah.
Not my ribbon.
Hey, this is David from the Piecing It Together podcast, a podcast about movies and the movies that inspire them. For over 4 years, each week, a guest and I take a look at a new movie through the lens of what other movies we think were either an influence or connect in some other way. It's a fun, unique way to discuss films that leads to a great list of other movies to check out that either explore the same themes and ideas or maybe utilize similar filmmaking techniques. Including special episodes in our side series that twist the format, we've done over 200 episodes, so there's bound to be one on a film you've been thinking about and want to dig deeper into. So check us out on all the major podcasting apps and at piecingpod.com.
Such a sweet scene with her in the mirror and Elizabeth behind her, and it's kind of
was
setting up
nice.
this position of her being maybe this kind. I mean, a girl at that age, you kind of need a mom,
And she's never had someone teach her how to do her hair. Like poor Nathan.
Yeah.
Like I went on a trip with just my dad one year when I was like 10 years old, and we went to Utah, and my dad just brought my mom packed a bunch of headbands for me to wear because she knew my dad couldn't do my hair. And
Yeah.
finally this woman, she was with her husband, and she's like, "You want me to braid your hair?" And I felt like I was like a princess because my hair was braided and I didn't have to wear a headband.
Yeah.
So I understand poor Allie. Even for that one weekend, I was not with my mom.
Yes.
That was a smart strategy of your dad.
hmm It was snowing. We were on the mountains, Park City, and we were in a headband.
Yeah.
You did need you need your hair braided, get it out of your face, all in one place.
My dad was pretty good with stuff like that because my mom had to go on full bed rest when she was pregnant. And so he had to be kind of mom and dad for a while. And then of course, when you have a new baby and everything, so he was pretty good at being both mom and dad. And one thing that was nice about my childhood growing up is that my dad worked from home. He had a home office. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So I had access to my parents, pretty much my whole childhood, at all times. I had access to my parents, which I probably wouldn't have seen it as such a great blessing back then. But in retrospect, it was definitely very fortunate in that way that they were both very present in my childhood, which I think I was very lucky about that. But but yeah, it was a sweet scene. Their relationship is really developing nicely, and I think that they have a nice chemistry, Jada and Aaron. I think
They do.
They do.
I agree. We see that in
And
both.
she's looking up for her as a teacher, but now she's like, okay, this woman is dating my dad. Now maybe because she wanted her as a mom, bless her heart, since
She
probably
did. Remember that
was it season 8 when she did like
she pulled
yeah.
them? Yeah, I clearly remember that scene when she pulled them both in before, was it Bill or like, and had them standing there like they were getting married,
Mm-hmm.
looking at them both.
Oh yeah, that was when Nathan adopted her formally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mhm. That's
yeah.
right. Yeah. So then we have we have Edie losing her ring. And that's when she says, "Oh, I was engaged, but I'm not anymore. But I'm still wearing
And
the ring."
I thought they were setting up Lucas saying, "Oh, me too," but he didn't say anything, and
Oh, I
I
know.
wanted him to say like he understood.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true. That's a good
Yeah.
point. That would have
That's
been a
what
good
happens in a
moment.
movie. You get
Mm-hmm.
that moment of, oh, now we understand each other's pasts, romantic pasts, and
Yeah.
Maybe they will later, because that would
Plus,
be
like that could be an interesting dynamic of like Edie starting to get like a little jealous of Elizabeth, maybe. Like that could be good. Yeah.
because she's gonna find out if she spends time in town, somebody's gonna gossip and tell her, well, that they
Yeah.
be engaged,
Mm-hmm.
So at first it starts out pretty small at Allie's party.
Oh,
Yeah. And this is Molly's like, see I this is why I didn't want it to happen, because she evidently had a heartbroken dance in her teenage days.
Yeah.
we all understand, Mom.
I know. And she was worried that would happen again. She wanted to protect her.
Yeah, but it was a nice moment for Jed, even though I was still like, who is this person? Because he overhears Molly saying that, and he's like, I don't think you're a fuddy-duddy.
Yeah.
That was
That's
nice.
so sweet. Oh.
It was really sweet. My only problem with that scene was that they held hands for the dance form the wrong way. The
Oh,
woman's right hand goes in the man's left up, and then her left hand goes on his shoulder, and they had that swap.
Oh.
But
Oh,
maybe
they
they did it on
did?
purpose because to show that we're trying to fumble through this together, and let's just make this a sweet moment where we're.
Does that matter if you're like right or left-handed, or it's just consistent all
No,
the way through?
it's consistent. Your form is
Oh.
my right hand goes in the
Interesting.
man's left, and my hand's on his shoulder.
Uh-huh.
He guides me. I'm just remembering back to my
Yeah.
foreign dance classes. And that's how you guide around the floor through the formations and the steps and stuff.
Yeah. So we
I'm
find
gonna
out
have to look.
that Jed was the one who bought the hazelnuts
Yeah, with the coin.
with the gold coin.
Yes.
Ooh.
Dun,
Ooh.
dun, dun.
Yeah. And then we have Wyatt giving Allie the flowers, and Oliver sees it.
Watches.
He has like a little present he was gonna give Allie, but then and Elizabeth sees all this drama happening.
I'm glad it was
Yeah.
Elizabeth seeing it and not Nathan.
Yeah.
'Cause that'll be 'cause maybe she like, oh, Allie's gonna have a love triangle too. Let's stop this right now.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
so right now Allie is like really not even aware of Oliver.
Mhm.
She's totally interested in Wyatt.
This
But
is they love their love triangles.
yeah, they do.
One calls the heart. And we've got the junior edition, because do you remember the season finale of which season was it, when Elizabeth's dancing with one
Yes.
and then sees the other? Who? But I
Yeah.
can't remember. Was she
6.
dancing with
Was it
Lucas?
6? Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
6. And is she dancing with Lucas and sees Nathan, or vice versa? I
Mhm.
can't. Anyway,
Lucas. She
it
asked Lucas to dance.
that's
Yeah.
right. And the foreshadowing of her looking at
Obsessed.
him. Yeah. I knew you'd know.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it's tricky because so we did establish that Allie is 17.
Mhm.
They did say here, because I've been a little bit unsure of like, how old is she now at this point? Like, what's going on? So she's 17. So it's kind of makes it tricky because like they're not going to have her be like an 18-year-old bride. So like, what's the end game, and like how I'm doing this teen romance is, I think, a little bit tricky because like, where do you end with
yeah.
it?
That'd
Where do
be
you go with it?
a plot line to help her and Elizabeth
Uh,
Oh,
bond.
that's true. Maybe it's just like a teen kind of dating
Mhm.
boyfriend girlfriend thing, but it's
Yeah.
mainly to work her through those beginnings of trying to figure out how to
And
date,
Elizabeth
how
can
to
help her more, of course,
yes,
than poor sweet little
Mhm.
Nathan.
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
I mean, do you think that they are making Wyatt like a villain here, or do you think that you see him as
Something's up with Wyatt.
Something's
Like
way
he
up.
just
I mean, see it in
randomly
episode 5
show up in Hope Valley,
and stick
and
around. Yeah.
yeah,
mm,
something connecting with the whole
The
coin
Garrison gang.
oh,
situation.
you think so with
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Wyatt?
yeah. Because he
Yeah.
was kind of lurking and listening and stuff. And then he's
Yeah, of
all
course, he wouldn't be involved with the actual robbery part because that was like what they said,
before.
1900,
Right.
Maybe he's a
and
junior criminal in training and he's, I don't
maybe
know.
his dad was connected somehow, and he's I don't know. Something's up with Wyatt. Like I don't
Yeah.
trust Wyatt.
Do we
No.
He's
know
too suave.
is his dad been on the show, a character?
Hmm Once
Okay.
again.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are well researched and well knowledged.
What I think it
So
was when Jesse and whenever all that stuff happening with Jesse and what was the Frank, they were in the gang.
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
his dad was in that group?
No, but like he came in that season too.
Yeah.
Cause
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, I think it was a fun episode, all the dance and
Mhm.
all that other stuff going on. So
and the
I
dad's watching the daughters dance.
And
That was
oh,
sweet.
yes. And
yeah.
Oliver doing his 13 on 30 moment and going out there for her. I mean,
Yes,
Oliver,
yes. That's
dang boy, you're
protect
22.
Oliver at all costs. Team
Yeah.
Oliver
I know.
all
He's
the
got a
way.
gift for her. He puts in his pocket
Very
that he's going to
cute.
give her. Yeah.
He's little mini
Yeah.
Nathan with
He's been
the
a good new character. I mean, I think the new characters this season have been pretty good. Like
Yeah.
Edie
Mhm.
and Oliver, both good characters, and I'm excited to see Melissa Gilbert's character.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's going to be
The
fun.
hype. Yeah.
The
Oh, I
hype.
know. We're like, he hasn't been on yet. We're on episode 5. I'm like, when's she?
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
Okay. So episode 5 is called Mom's the Word.
Great title.
Yeah, that's a good
Yes.
title.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth develops a new method of teaching. Nathan goes undercover. A familiar face returns to Hope Valley with an unlucky heiress in tow.
Mm.
And Lucas and Lee face their differences. So overall, what do you think of this episode, Mary?
A lot happened in this one too.
Yeah.
A lot of, things moving forward, a lot of side things too. And, somebody new to be like suspicious about for sure. I love that. And the Rosemary Bill together, fantastic. So
yeah. What did you think, Caroline, of it overall?
It was like all the emotions in one episode. It was like so fun, so heartwarming, heart wrenching. Like it was just everything.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It was really fun, this episode. I mean, especially everything with Nathan playing this, like becoming James Bond all of a sudden was really fun.
that was really, really fun.
Kevin must have loved that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and I was watching, I forget where I was watching, but that it was his idea to do the white coat.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess he was paying homage to the second Indiana Jones movie, The Temple of Doom. And Indiana Jones wears a white suit coat in that movie. And
Good pick, Kevin.
yeah, so that that's fun. And so he did a good job with that. And the only thing, I mean, and I am by far not a poker expert, but I don't think you can count cards playing poker. I think you count cards playing blackjack. That, I mean, isn't that the whole 21 thing with blackjack?
Yeah. Or like he just knows in his head he's kept track of where they all are, maybe? Is that what it meant?
Because Jed is evidently quite the card shark. And
Yeah.
it was very funny when Bill's like, well, I feel a little bit less bad about losing to him.
That was really funny.
And he's so nonchalant about like how good he is at poker. Like, yeah.
It's not my fault I know that there's so many aces left because I've already seen, da 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 da. That was
because there is a pretty entertaining book that was made into not that great of a movie. 21, it was the name of the movie. What was the name of the Bringing Down the House is the name of the book. And it's a very entertaining read about these MIT students who basically learn how to count cards, and they go to Vegas and
wow.
Like Rain Man.
Yeah, it's just entertaining. And they did make a movie of it a while back, but yeah, it is a thing, and you know they only let you do it for so long, and then you'll get kicked out of the
it's too much. We're on to you. You can't. You're messing everything up. It was funny that on Sunday night were two shows. I love Miss Scarlet on PBS. So on Sunday night, this and then this episode, they both had a character who wasn't very good at bluffing or very good at poker have to go into a poker game and get some information. So it was pretty fun. I was like, maybe I should learn this game.
Yeah, I mean,
understand these shows.
Well, and they're doing they're having Miss Scarlet and All Creatures Great and Small all at the same time.
Oh, my Sunday nights are packed. It's a lot of good shows. In fact, what I usually have them in order. I'm like, okay, let's watch this one first, and then if we have time, we have to move that one to Monday. Anyway,
I know it really is. I don't know why. I mean, it's the same thing that Hallmark's doing though, because they've got The Way Home and
When Calls the Heart at the same time. Yeah. What about these long stretches where we don't have a show?
I know. I'm so interested about what's going to happen in April, like when
these both
what's going to come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know. It's like, what am I going to have to cover during that time? But I actually was talking to Michelle that we might find some way to cover Little House on the Prairie. Like, there's over 200 episodes. We're not going to talk about all of them, but like we were thinking it might be fun if we tackled like a top 20 episodes or something list. Maybe that might be fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll figure out. Let us know.
They got the revival coming up too.
Which one?
The revival.
The
revival. Yeah, that's so interesting because I think well, it'd be interesting to see what they're going to do. I hope that it's not like Anne with an E, which I hated.
Yeah.
I hope they don't try to like make it all gritty and whatever. But like the original show, I think that if they actually just duplicated the original show, people would say, "Oh, it's woke."
Well, that's what Melissa Gilbert said.
The show was not shy about dealing.
Straight from the source material. So if they're gonna, are they remaking the show or doing the books?
That's a good point. Yeah, that's
good point.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about because there's so much. There's just the books. Yeah, and
well, it's just like I think that if they literally recopied the original show, people would be like, "Oh, it's so woke. What have you done?" And it'd be like, "No, that was the show. Like it was very brave.
Dark.
Yeah, and it was dark. It really was."
Well, and her life, the books are beautiful, and they do hint at some. And they show outright challenges and trials, dark things. Her real life had even more of those.
It's true.
I'm just so curious. They could go the books
either way.
Go her real life. They could go the show. Yeah, and all of it has
like the book where they live in the dugout.
Yeah, on the banks of
Yeah.
Deep Creek. That was
Yeah.
really hard. Her sister is super sick and loses her eyesight is really, that
Mhm.
whole scene. They lose a baby,
Mhm.
Yeah.
there's just sad, sad stuff. So
Oh, the trauma of that on the show with her sister.
yeah, and I
That was
actually
intense.
I never got to watch the show, only bits and pieces of it, because
Oh,
we were
really?
overseas at the time with my family, and so it wasn't on TV. And now I'm like, I should just start from the beginning and just watch.
Oh,
Maybe I'll do
yeah.
that. Maybe I'll do that in
There
April.
you go. Start over. Yeah.
Little Prairie on the House, as I called it. We watched
Yeah.
Little Prairie on the House.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
but
good.
but yeah, it was a fun dynamic they had going on here with everything with the cards and the undercover.
Oh, them showing him how to act and how to walk.
Yeah, I
So
like that.
But Rosemary was perfect for that, and it was just so funny.
oh,
I need
think
more of that dynamic of
More
Nathan and Rosemary.
the only
exactly.
thing that I would have done is I think it would have been a really fun place to bring in Henry.
Oh,
Scenes.
of
I think that could have been very fun.
you're right. Oh my goodness, of course.
Yeah.
We need a scene of Nathan and Lucas, like Lucas trying to show Nathan like
Yeah, that could be fun.
That's
some
the other thing.
some poker tricks.
Lucas is, yes, he's good at all of that. I'm surprised they they forgot all about these other two characters. They're like, don't worry, we'll train you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Lucas.
Yeah.
Well, he's supposed to be bad at poker, like this Danny fella. So maybe that's
Oh,
why.
that's true. They're like, just go with what you
Because
got.
yeah.
Was he supposed to be bad at poker? I thought he was supposed to be like a card shark.
They didn't, no, I think they didn't want him to, they just needed
win?
to get him.
They don't want him to win. Okay.
They wanted
But
They're trying to get in with the other guy. Like
Yeah.
try to.
And that other guy, if he smells like blood in the water, like, oh, I could take, this guy's super rich and I could take advantage of him, then we've got ourselves a partnership, kind of
Mm-hmm.
learn more about him.
Yeah. So Lucas has this press release that he is bringing in that they're going to
on a modern
share.
computer.
They're going to share the land, and Rosemary is pretty understanding, but Lee, he's just upset about the idea of cattle running free in the national park.
I would love that. Walk around in like a park and cows. Like, oh.
Well, I mean, we've got our bison and buffalo and Yellowstone, and what's the one in South Dakota? Not Custer State Park, and then Wind Cave. There's a whole group of people there.
Yeah.
But you're like there. You don't need to. No,
get those.
like, stay away. These are just cows, like cattle grazing. Still, don't mess with them. But
I would think it would be hard for the ranchers to have like no containment of any kind.
Yeah, can they have fences? Can they, what's this grazing like? Yeah, what is this land use, shared use like?
Because I would think you would need something.
Yeah, and depending on their seasons, they're going to need to move the herd, at different seasons of the year and roundups and things.
Yeah. Yeah, this sounds like the kind of plot that you'd get on Heartland.
Yeah, that's true.
Crossover.
Yeah. And so it was a very, very cute moment when you have Jack Jr. saying, I don't know if I call you mom at school anymore. Yeah. That was very sweet. He's like, I want to call you Mrs. Thornton at school. It's very cute.
I did call my mom mama like all through when she taught me. Like
yeah. That's who she is.
Was that hard having your mom as a teacher?
Not really, because I went to private school, so like I was around like or all through my my school career.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything like everyone knew, so it wasn't.
Yeah. And they all know.
But I would just think it would be hard to like if you weren't like doing your assignment or
I was very, very strict about schooling. Like I was reading my school books in the summertime. Like I was
because you want like that break from your teacher, but if the teacher's the mom, you don't get any break.
Mhm. She did
Yeah.
good. She did most of her school stuff like at school, and like she then come home, and she didn't do any
Separating
type
it.
of
That's
Mm.
good. That's good. So then you have Oliver offering to help Allie.
Oh, that was so cute.
And that
It was really
cute.
cute
Yeah.
on the bench
So,
together.
yeah.
And Elizabeth looking like, Allie, don't you see this boy? Like he likes you.
know.
Like,
I
girl.
know. Sometimes
Well,
they figure it out themselves.
Elizabeth
Mhm.
tries to help Allie with that and be like, Wyatt, I don't know.
He might not be. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
But then
Didn't she see him like basically like flirting with somebody else?
Yes.
Or
With the new lady, with the
Mhm.
Ava.
Yeah.
It was kind of gross.
Like,
Like,
dude,
yeah.
she's like 20 something. Like,
Well, and she just can tell that Wyatt is in like a completely different place than Allie right
yes.
now. Like he's working, he's got a job, he's older. Like it's just not
They're,
yeah.
yeah, they're not on the same level.
typical first crush. Like,
Yeah.
or maybe Robert was her first crush, but you know.
Oh yeah, Robert. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Elizabeth talks about that like when I had my heart broken and so she can see this all coming
Mhm.
and then of course she would then meet
And Nathan
Jack.
asking her for all of her help, and that was sweet.
Yeah, it was cute.
Mhm.
It was cute.
Mhm.
And then we have this Eva. She is a big fan of Elizabeth.
Sketch.
It seems like it.
Sus.
Uh,
Sketch.
but she's
Yeah.
not like paying for anything, and she's like eating really expensive food, and she's like building up this huge tab.
She ordered a
My
free
my
cocktail.
favorite line of the whole episode was little Jack. They didn't steal your appetite. I'm like, that was
That was cute.
Mhm.
And she ends up getting the poison oak. She's just a mess.
I know.
And her
Goes to
parents are
town, and everybody believes her right away because
that's the
but-
Hope Valley way.
yeah, that's true. And it's so much parallel. Is she just out like cosplaying Elizabeth's life? Like, yeah, I'm very curious
Yeah.
about this
So
one.
I wonder if that part of her story is in her book about her losing her luggage. Like, because I thought it was like it wasn't about her life. It was like she was writing about a character. Like, how would she
Yeah.
know all this stuff?
She's
Mhm.
like copying Elizabeth that.
Mhm.
And don't you think that she's going to end up somehow being involved in this whole
Definitely.
yeah, the coin and the case and the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, maybe so.
I think so. Somehow they're gonna I don't know
It's
how
all connected
now.
somehow.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because
But Elizabeth buys even new clothes. Like this is just getting out of control.
And
yeah.
she's so like she believes her right away. And like Nathan's like,
Mhm.
like
Well,
Yeah.
I know. And then
Mhm.
what I wrote it down where she was like, to fill out a report, for all your missing stuff. She's like, why would is that too much trouble? He's like, this is what I'm a Mountie. Like, let's see what we can do,
and she was kind of taken back with Nathan being there all of a sudden. Like,
hmm He needs to, as soon as he's done, with this other thing he's working on, let's do a little teeny bit of digging into her. And
Yeah.
things will be unveiled.
So then we also have the Fiona's back when Ava comes
Mhm.
back, and she tells May and Faith that she is going to be selling the saloon, and she also is moving to San
The
Francisco.
salon.
And
Salon.
Oh,
Yeah, I
the
thought
salon,
I wrote
sorry.
down saloon as well. I'm like, did she almost salon?
it's a salon, and then she's going to say yes to this man who keeps proposing, and you definitely get the feeling of like she just is like, well, might as well. It's time to move on to the next stage of my life, which I can definitely be like sympathetic of, especially during this time when it was not like a single woman could be as independent. You couldn't,
Yeah.
I don't even know if you could own property at this point. So you just didn't have the same options as we do today.
Mm-hmm.
Back
and
then.
I wonder what happened in Nashville to make her leave Nashville. Like
Mhm.
something's up with all that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
She wants to go to San Francisco and make a difference. And she thinks in order to do that, she needs to be a married woman to have a little more
Mhm.
say, more sway, more power. Part of me is like, but do you love this guy? Like they all looked so disappointed. And maybe
Yeah.
because they were like, oh, you're moving again is disappointed, not
Hmm.
found
They thought she's
somebody.
staying in Hope Valley.
Yeah.
Well, I
Mhm.
don't think she is going to end up, marrying this man,
No.
but I can understand why she would be tempted to just be like, let's just do it. Let's move on
Yeah.
to the next. What's funny is, so we have a recap coming up. Me and Jax, we just we recapped Honeymoon in Vegas, and that is a fun movie. And Sarah Jessica Parker's character in that movie, she's just ready. She's like, she's like, I'll marry either of you. I'm just ready. Let's do it.
Mm.
And it's like, I feel like that was kind of refreshing because you usually don't see that anymore in the movies of like a woman. She just wants, I just want to get married.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You don't see that as much anymore.
There's still people on Twitter that want Lucas and Fiona, but
Oh,
we don't know if Kayla is going to be like
Around
back for
enough.
good. Yeah, so
We would need a
Mhm.
we would really need to, I mean, because they were just so buddy partner kind of stuff
Mhm.
before.
yeah. I don't see that.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I don't see that. Yeah. It'd be interesting. They haven't really done much with Faith. I don't know if it's just because Andrea was pregnant or it hasn't
Hard to-
stopped them before.
I know before they did a fair amount with her character while she was pregnant, and this time they're hiding it well and trying, but we haven't seen her do much in several
No,
episodes now.
she
So
really
And
hasn't.
little Lily, I want more
I
Lily.
know.
Like,
yes, so we haven't seen her.
So
Mhm.
cute. Those two little girls that they
oh,
have are both absolutely
and
adorable.
little Jack, all three of them just sitting there. I'm like,
Yeah,
they're so cute, and they're so
really
cute
cute.
together, like behind the scenes, like seeing their videos that they post on their little Instagram accounts. I'm
Mhm.
like, they're so cute together. I'm
Yeah,
like, we have little kids back, and it makes me happy
yeah,
Yeah.
because
yeah. Mhm.
Ava's cute, like Opal's cute, but like we need some cute
Yeah.
little kids. But,
Little,
yeah.
Well, I mean, Opal's just practically a grown up at this point.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
would like them to give her more to do for sure
Mhm.
as
Hopefully
well.
now that Angela's graduating all and Emily and them, maybe she's gonna be her and Allie are gonna be the two, main
Mhm.
ones in school.
Yeah. So Elizabeth says people come to Hope Valley for lots of reasons. It's a good place with good people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, to
Except for
Eva.
Wyatt.
Hope
Oh
Hope Valley
yeah.
will change Ava.
Yes. Yes.
And then Lucas, so Lee says I was hurt that you weren't taking my opinion more because Joseph is trying to like have this peace summit between Lucas and
That's so
and-
cute.
Oh, that was so good. Well, Lucas and Mike are like, well, Fiona's like, doesn't anybody meddle anymore? And so Joe and Mike are like, Hickam and Pastor Campfield are like, let's
yeah,
and they come up with this plan and it was pretty good.
Yes.
yeah. It's not easy making everyone happy. Maybe I'm not good enough, doing a good enough job even with my friends. That's what
Yeah.
Lucas says.
Lucas.
Yeah.
So
It was
Give
good
him
for
some
them.
give him some grace, Lee. Come
yeah,
on, dude.
I
I'm
mean,
like,
know.
I was getting mad at Lee. I'm like, don't
yeah,
Like
break
you're
his
you're
Well,
holding on
it's-
to this. Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's just not reasonable that like he wouldn't understand that you at least have to do something for the ranchers. You can't just like bulldoze them out. Like that makes
Yeah.
no sense. So he wasn't being reasonable.
It was good for them. When they walk,
everyone's team
yeah.
Lucas.
Yeah.
I know. And when they walk back in together after their long walk back and they hug and everyone's like, "Oh, you did it."
Yeah.
I loved this part where I wrote down Joe and Mike are proud of their meddling and the pastor says, "Sometimes you have to get lost so and he points up to God, he can bring us back home." Where he kind of
Mhm.
Yeah, I
saw
love
this
that.
moment where it was like we need a higher power here to step in and
I need
Mhm.
more of Hickam and Joseph now.
I know, I love
'Cause
when they do these pairings.
yes,
Mhm.
See them work well together.
the cast keeps saying that Hope Valley needs a therapist, so maybe it's going to be Hickam and
Oh,
Joseph.
Yeah. So then we have this whole thing with Nathan as this card shark. And I liked when he's like, he's calling the other card player buddy. He was like, hey,
Yeah.
buddy.
Hey, buddy.
That was funny to me. And then he gets a business card from the main other card player. So the undercover sting is successful.
Toddy Davis.
Toddy
Yeah.
Davis. That's an epic name.
Isn't
Yeah.
it? So smarmy. Yeah.
And so then Allie asks Wyatt to a picnic,
Oh,
which is a pretty bold first date. I would probably be like, hey, do you want to go get like candy or ice cream or drink or something small
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
for first date.
she loves picnics.
She's following Elizabeth and Nathan's
Yeah.
dating
Yeah.
pattern.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's way
Picnics.
ahead of them.
But that's true. But he did not have to be so rude. I mean, you could let her down, but to be like, pigtails, you're not my speed. I don't know.
Yeah.
Pigtails, dude.
You're a real
Come on.
sweet kid, but not exactly my speed.
Oh,
Oh.
her
You shouldn't have
acting.
danced with her last episode,
I know.
Wyatt.
Meanie.
And so then Elizabeth and Allie are talking, and she says, when the right one comes along, you'll know the difference. This too shall pass.
Yeah. Great advice to let people know that you're going to have heartbreak and you're going to have breakups and all these things.
Yeah.
Everybody goes through this and it will get better. I loved that. I loved that for her because
Mhm.
she's like, this really hurts right now. I know that it hurts.
Yeah.
It will get better.
That is
I like
true
when
that
she said, like you won't forget it, but you'll get over it.
yeah.
I
Well, I
like
mean, it
that.
is true when you're a teenager, it feels like everything is the most important thing that's happening. And then like as soon as you, for most people at least, when you graduate from high school, like it's all gone. Like you hardly talk to those people again. You hardly, I don't know, for most people at least, like a lot of that stuff is it just instantly becomes way less important as it is when you're in the thick of it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it says, if I was little Jack, I'd call you mom all the time.
Oh,
Oh,
Sweet.
and the tears in her eyes. I'm like, Allie,
That was nice. Yeah. It's good work from Jada.
Very good work.
Yeah. And she says,
you can call
think
me
of,
Elizabeth.
yeah, you can think of me however you want. What if at home you start calling me Elizabeth?
Yeah. And then she's like, which home?
Which home?
So there we go. That is this episode. It was a lot of fun. And so, yeah, 2 solid episodes of When Calls the Heart. Let us know what you think if you're listening, what you think of these episodes. What were your favorite parts? If you like the James Bond version of Nathan, let us know in the comments. And Mary, where can people find you?
I'm at _ Mary Richards on Twitter, Mary Richards Reports on Instagram, and Reporter Mary Richards on Facebook.
Great. And Caroline, what about you?
Follow me on Twitter at MetaCarolineR.
Great. And make sure you check out all of our When Calls the Heart content that we have, our playlist. We've recapped every single episode after, I think it's season 4 onward, that we have every episode recapped. So make sure you check that out. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot. Sure, you're following the podcast on social media. And if you're watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That helps us out so much. And check out the Patreon group. That's the biggest way you can support what we're doing, and you get some pretty cool perks. And we have our merch store, which we have a new link. So make sure you check that out, where the sales are, the low prices are continuous year round. So you definitely want to check out that. And we have lots of When Calls the Heart inspired merch over there. So thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.